Hey everyone, welcome back to the English Hour. I'm your host, Sophia, and today we've got another exciting episode lined up for you. We're diving deep into a topic that many language learners struggle with: how to stay motivated during your language learning journey. Joining me today is Jacob, who's here to share some fantastic tips and strategies that can keep you on track.
Thanks for having me, Sophia. I'm excited to chat about this because motivation can definitely be a challenge for a lot of people.
Absolutely. So, let's start with the big question. How do you keep yourself motivated when learning English, especially when it feels like progress is slow?
That's such a great question. For me, it's all about setting small, achievable goals. If you're always focused on the end result, it can feel overwhelming. But if you set a goal like learning 10 new words a week, it's more manageable and gives you a sense of accomplishment.
I love that approach, breaking things down into smaller, bite-sized tasks. It definitely helps with building momentum. What about you? How do you celebrate those small wins?
I think celebrating small milestones is crucial. Whether it's rewarding yourself with a favorite activity or even just taking a moment to reflect on how far you've come, it's important to acknowledge your progress. It's easy to forget how much you've learned when you're focused on what's left to learn.
That's so true. It's easy to get caught up in the grind, but those little moments of recognition can really boost your spirits. For me, I also find that switching up my routine helps me stay motivated. If I do the same thing every day, I can get bored really quickly.
Oh, absolutely. Changing things up not only keeps the process exciting, but it also challenges you to use English in different contexts. Maybe you practice your listening by watching a TV show in English, or you switch to writing short stories instead of just doing vocabulary exercises. There are so many ways to engage with the language.
That's a great tip. And what about when you're just not feeling it? We've all had those days when motivation seems to disappear. How do you push through?
I try to remind myself that language learning isn't always about being perfect. Sometimes just sitting down and doing a little bit, even if it's not a full study session, can be enough. And also, I don't stress if I miss a day or two. The key is to keep going even when it feels tough.
I think a lot of learners will relate to that. It's okay to have off days. The most important thing is that we keep showing up for ourselves, even in small ways. What would you say is one of the biggest motivation killers in language learning?
I think comparing yourself to others is definitely a big one. Everyone has a different pace, and it's easy to feel discouraged if someone else seems to be learning faster. But I try to remind myself that my journey is my own, and the only person I should compare myself to is the person I was yesterday.
I couldn't agree more. It's easy to get caught up in what others are doing, but everyone's path is different. And at the end of the day, progress is progress, no matter how slow it feels sometimes. So, for anyone out there feeling stuck, remember to celebrate the small wins and keep going at your own pace.
Exactly, it's all about persistence. Even on the days when it feels hard, just keep going. It's the long-term effort that really pays off.
So true. And I think that wraps up some really helpful advice for anyone struggling with motivation in their language learning journey. Thanks so much for sharing your thoughts with us today, Jacob.
Thank you for having me, Sophia. It was great chatting with you.
And thank you to all of our listeners for joining us today. Remember, learning a language is a marathon, not a sprint. Stay consistent, enjoy the process, and keep pushing forward. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you can catch our next episode. We'll see you soon. We've talked about some great strategies to keep yourself motivated, but I think another important aspect of language learning is community. Jacob, have you found that being part of a community or having a study partner has helped you stay on track?
Oh, absolutely. Language learning can feel like a solo journey sometimes, but when you connect with others who are on the same path, it really makes a difference. Whether it's through online groups, language exchange programs, or even just practicing with a friend, having someone to share your progress with or vent your frustrations can keep you motivated.
I totally agree. Plus, you get to see different perspectives on learning the language. For example, I've found that practicing speaking with a partner really pushes me to get better at using phrases in real world conversations, even if I make mistakes.
Exactly. And those mistakes are actually part of the process. They help us learn. I also think it's important to create a space where you feel comfortable making mistakes and learning from them. When we're surrounded by a supportive community, it encourages us to step out of our comfort zone.
That's such an important point. I think sometimes we get caught up in wanting to be perfect, but mistakes are the best way to learn. Speaking of which, have you ever had a moment where you were frustrated with a specific part of learning English? And how did you overcome it?
Oh, definitely. For me, it was listening comprehension. At first, I struggled to understand native speakers when they spoke quickly or used slang. It was so frustrating. But what helped was listening to podcasts and watching videos in English, even if I didn't understand everything. Over time, I started picking up more and more, and it didn't feel as overwhelming.
That's a fantastic strategy. I think a lot of listeners can relate to the struggle with listening skills. It's all about consistency and not giving up when it feels tough. Have you ever set a specific goal for your listening skills?
Yes, I set a goal to listen to at least 30 minutes of English content every day. It could be a podcast, a YouTube video, or even an audiobook. At first, it felt like a lot, but now it's just part of my daily routine. It's amazing how much improvement you can see by doing a little bit every day.
That's a great goal. And I love that it's become a habit for you. It just shows how much consistency can impact your progress. For our listeners, maybe setting a small, achievable goal like that could make a huge difference in their own language learning journey.
Absolutely, it doesn't have to be an hour-long study session every day. Just a little bit of practice here and there adds up. And the more you expose yourself to the language, the easier it becomes to understand and use it in real life situations.
Well said, Jacob. I think we've covered some amazing tips today, from setting realistic goals to joining a community to focusing on listening practice. Do you have any final thoughts for our listeners?
Just remember to be patient with yourself. Learning a language is a long-term process, and it's okay if you don't see instant results. The important thing is to keep going and enjoy the journey.
Wise words. Well, that's all the time we have for today's episode. Thanks again, Jacob, for sharing your insights. And to all of you listening, keep practicing, stay motivated, and remember that every step forward counts. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks, Sophia. Looking forward to next time.
See you all soon. Jacob, I've been thinking a lot about language learning outside of the classroom. What do you think are some fun, everyday activities that can help improve your language skills?
Great question. There are so many activities that don't feel like studying, but can really help you practice. For example, I love cooking, and I try to follow recipes in English. It's fun, and I learn a lot of new vocabulary related to food and cooking. Plus, it's a great way to combine language learning with something you enjoy.
I love that. Cooking in English sounds like a fun way to learn, and I bet it gives you a lot of practical vocabulary. I've heard people also use language learning apps while commuting. Have you tried anything like that?
I have a few language apps when I'm on the bus or walking to work. It's great because I can fit in a quick lesson during those little pockets of time. The best part is you can focus on specific skills like vocabulary or grammar, and the app keeps track of your progress. It feels like a productive way to use time you'd normally spend doing nothing.
I love the idea of making the most of those small moments. And apps really help keep the learning experience interactive, which makes it feel less like a chore. Do you ever watch TV shows or movies in English to improve your language skills?
Oh, definitely. Watching TV shows is one of my favorite ways to learn. I usually start by watching with subtitles in my native language, and then I switch to English subtitles as I get more comfortable. It helps me pick up on pronunciation, slang, and the rhythm of how people speak. Plus, it's fun.
That's a great technique. I think TV shows and movies are such a natural way to learn, because you get exposed to different accents, expressions, and contexts. Do you have any favorite shows you'd recommend for learning English?
One of my favorites is Friends. It's funny, relatable, and the language is pretty clear. Also, The Office is great for learning everyday vocabulary and work-related terms. If you want something a bit more challenging, I'd suggest Sherlock for a faster-paced, more complex English. It really keeps you on your toes.
Those are great recommendations. Friends is a classic, and Sherlock definitely ups the challenge. I think switching between easier and more difficult content is a good way to balance fun and improvement. Do you think there's a specific moment when you felt like you truly started to see progress in your English skills?
That's a tough one. But I think the first time I was able to have a full conversation in English without stopping to think too much was a huge milestone for me. It felt natural, and I didn't have to rely on translating every word in my head. It was a confidence booster, for sure.
That's such a great moment. I bet that really pushed you to keep going. And for our listeners, that kind of progress is what we're all working towards, right? Feeling comfortable and confident when speaking, without constantly thinking about grammar rules or translations.
Exactly, it's all about building that confidence and not being afraid to make mistakes along the way. I think once you stop fearing errors, language learning becomes a lot more enjoyable.
Couldn't agree more. So, for our listeners out there, don't be afraid of making mistakes. They're part of the journey. Keep practicing, stay motivated, and remember that every step forward, no matter how small, is progress.
Absolutely, keep pushing forward and have fun with it. You'll get there.
Well said, Jacob. That's a wrap for today's episode. Thanks so much for joining us. And to our listeners, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you next time.
Thanks, Sophia. Looking forward to it.
Jacob, before we wrap up, I've got one more question for you. What advice would you give to someone who's just starting their language learning journey?
That's a great question. For beginners, I would say start small and be consistent. Try to incorporate English into your daily life in simple ways, like labeling things around your house in English or listening to English songs. It doesn't have to be perfect at first, and the key is to build habits that keep you motivated.
I love that advice, making it part of your routine without overwhelming yourself. And do you have any tips for dealing with moments of frustration when learning feels tough?
Oh, definitely, it's normal to hit a wall, but when that happens, I remind myself that it's okay to take breaks. Sometimes just stepping away from the language for a bit helps me come back with a fresh perspective. Also, celebrating small victories, like understanding a phrase or making a new friend in English, can help keep you going.
That's such a healthy mindset. Recognizing the small wins can make a big difference in staying motivated. And I think what you said about taking breaks is key. Learning a language is a marathon, not a sprint.
Exactly. And remember, language learning is a process, not a destination. There's no end goal. It's all about constantly improving and enjoying the journey along the way.
That's such an inspiring thought to leave us with. For everyone out there, keep learning, keep practicing, and embrace the journey. It's all worth it in the end.
Absolutely. And don't forget, every mistake is just another step towards fluency.
Well, Jacob, I think we've covered a lot of ground today. It's been so fun chatting with you.
It's been a pleasure, Sophia. Can't wait to be back again.
And for our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. Remember to keep practicing, stay motivated, and most importantly, enjoy every moment of learning. If you liked today's episode, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time.
Bye for now.
Before we go, Jacob, one last thing. I've been thinking, what do you think about the role of technology in language learning? How has it impacted your journey?
Oh, that's a great question. Technology has completely transformed language learning for the better. I mean, you have apps, podcasts, online courses. There's so much out there. It makes learning more interactive, and it allows me to learn at my own pace. Plus, it helps me connect with native speakers around the world, which is a game changer.
That's so true. The ability to talk to people from different countries and immerse yourself in real life conversations is something we never had before. It makes learning so much more authentic.
Exactly, and with all the language learning apps, you can set reminders to practice every day, which really helps build consistency. I also love watching TV shows or movies in English with subtitles on. That's a fun way to learn new words and get the right pronunciation.
I love that idea. Watching shows and movies not only teaches vocabulary, but it also shows you how words and phrases are used in different contexts. It helps with understanding cultural nuances too.
Oh, for sure, sometimes it's the little things like a common phrase or expression that doesn't have a direct translation. That's where technology really comes into play. It brings those cultural aspects to life in a way books just can't.
Absolutely. So, would you say technology has made language learning more accessible?
Without a doubt, it's given people the tools to learn anytime, anywhere. Whether you're on the bus, at home, or even waiting in line, you can open an app and start practicing. It's never been easier to integrate learning into daily life.
It really has opened up so many opportunities. And with the rise of AI and speech recognition, the future of language learning is looking even more exciting.
Definitely, imagine learning a language and having an AI chatbot practice conversations with you. It's like having a personal tutor at any hour of the day. It's amazing how far we've come.
It's thrilling. The possibilities seem endless, and the fact that we can learn at our own pace makes it all the more enjoyable. I guess the key is using all the tools and resources available to us.
Exactly, embrace all the technology out there, whether it's apps, podcasts, or even virtual language exchanges. There's something for everyone, and it makes the learning experience so much more personalized.
Couldn't agree more, Jacob. I think this episode really highlights how important it is to make language learning fun and interactive. Thanks again for your insights.
Anytime, Sophia, it's been awesome talking about all this.
And to our listeners, don't forget to make the most of all the amazing technology available to you. Keep practicing. And remember that learning a language can be both rewarding and enjoyable. Thanks for joining us today.
Take care, everyone.
Jacob, you mentioned earlier how technology has helped you connect with native speakers. I'm curious, how do you go about finding people to practice with?
Great question, Sophia. There are plenty of apps and platforms that focus specifically on language exchange, like Tandem and HelloTalk. You can connect with native speakers, chat with them, and even do video calls to practice speaking. I've also joined a few language groups on social media, which are great for finding conversation partners.
That's awesome. So you're able to really dive into real conversations with native speakers. How does that help you with your fluency?
It makes a huge difference. Speaking with native speakers forces me to think on my feet and get used to the speed and flow of natural conversation. Plus, they can correct my mistakes in real time, which helps me improve quickly. I can't stress enough how much it boosts my confidence.
Yeah, there's no better way to learn than through conversation. Do you feel like these platforms also help with your accent and pronunciation?
One thing I love about language exchange apps is that you can practice pronunciation with a native speaker who can give you feedback on how to sound more natural. And hearing how they speak helps me improve my own accent. It's almost like having a mini pronunciation coach.
That's such a good point. Plus, I imagine it helps with learning slang and idiomatic expressions, those things that are so tricky to pick up from textbooks.
Oh, 100%. If you're learning a language only through textbooks, you'll miss out on all the fun, casual phrases that make conversations feel real. Native speakers throw in slang, cultural references, and expressions that you wouldn't find in a traditional textbook. It adds so much character to the language.
Exactly. And I think the most exciting part about learning these expressions is that they make you sound more authentic, like you truly belong to that language's culture.
Yes, totally. It's a sign that you're not just translating, but thinking in the language. And that's where the magic happens.
I think the next step is for people to start embracing these interactive learning tools even more. Whether it's speaking with real people or using apps that incorporate AI. There's really no limit to how much we can improve now.
Agreed. And with more tech innovations coming, we'll see even more immersive learning experiences. It's exciting to think about how the future of language learning is going to look.
I couldn't agree more, Jacob. With all these tools at our fingertips, we just need to keep practicing and enjoying the process. I'm sure our listeners are motivated now to dive deeper into their language learning journey.
I hope so. Keep pushing forward, everyone. It's all about taking small steps every day and staying consistent.
Absolutely. And with that, let's wrap up today's episode. Thanks again, Jacob, for sharing your insights.
Thanks for having me, Sophia. It's been a pleasure.
And to all of you listening, keep using those amazing resources and tools, and remember to have fun with it. Catch you in the next episode. Before we wrap up completely, Jacob, is there any last piece of advice you'd like to give to our listeners who are just starting their language learning journey?
Oh, definitely, I'd say don't rush the process. Language learning is a marathon, not a sprint. Focus on consistency and be patient with yourself. Celebrate small wins like understanding a sentence you couldn't before, or finally feeling comfortable ordering food in your target language. Those moments will keep you motivated.
I love that advice. It's easy to get frustrated when we don't see progress right away, but those small moments of growth are what truly matter. Thanks for sharing that, Jacob.
Anytime. And I'd also say try to immerse yourself as much as possible, whether it's watching movies, listening to music, or chatting with native speakers. The more exposure you get, the faster your brain will start picking up the language naturally.
Immersion is key. It helps your brain get used to the rhythm and nuances of the language. Plus, it's fun. You get to enjoy your favorite shows or music while learning at the same time.
Exactly, and remember, there's no perfect way to learn. What works for one person may not work for another. So, don't be afraid to try different methods until you find what clicks for you.
So true. Learning is such a personal journey. What works for me might not be your style, and that's okay. Find what excites you, whether that's reading, speaking, or even gaming in your target language.
Exactly, there's so much flexibility in learning today. So take advantage of it. Whatever keeps you engaged is what will keep you moving forward.
Absolutely. It's all about making the journey enjoyable. Thanks so much, Jacob, for joining me today and sharing all your tips.
Thank you for having me, Sophia. It was a pleasure.
And to all our listeners, remember to keep practicing, stay patient, and enjoy the process. The journey to fluency is just as rewarding as the destination. Until next time, keep learning and having fun. So, Jacob, we've touched on a lot of great strategies today. But what about when people hit a language learning plateau? It's something many learners experience. Any advice on how to break through that wall?
Ah, the dreaded plateau. It happens to everyone. The key here is to change things up a bit. If you've been sticking to one routine, maybe it's time to try something new, like switching the materials you're using, practicing with a different person, or even setting new goals that challenge you.
That's a great point. A lot of times, when we get too comfortable, we stop growing. Sometimes, it's about shaking things up to get that spark back.
Exactly. Also, it helps to reflect on why you started learning the language in the first place. Reconnecting with your original motivation can reignite your passion and keep you going when it feels like you're stuck.
That's such solid advice. It's easy to forget your why when you're focused on the grind. What do you do when you're feeling frustrated, Jacob?
Well, when I get frustrated, I take a short break. It's easy to get burned out if you push too hard. I'll watch a movie in the target language or chat with a friend. Sometimes, stepping away and coming back with fresh eyes makes all the difference.
I think that's something a lot of people forget to do. You don't have to be studying 24/7. Taking a break can actually help your brain absorb more information when you return.
Right, it's all about balance. You don't want to overwhelm yourself. Plus, the best learning often happens when you're not consciously trying to cram information into your brain.
Exactly. Those moments usually come when you least expect them. You're right, balance is key. You want to keep the momentum going, but also allow space for relaxation and fun.
Definitely. And if you find yourself really stuck on something, don't be afraid to ask for help. Whether it's a tutor, a language exchange partner, or even an online community, there's always someone out there who can offer insight.
That's such an important point. Language learners don't have to go it alone. Communities and resources are there to help. And sometimes, just talking to someone about your struggles can make you feel less isolated in the process.
Absolutely. And the beauty of language learning is that it connects you with others who are on the same journey, so you never really have to feel like you're alone.
That's so true. There's this global support network of learners, and it's wonderful to see how connected we all are. All right, Jacob. I think we've covered so much today. Any last piece of wisdom before we wrap this up?
Just remember, language learning is a journey, not a race. Be kind to yourself along the way, and don't be afraid to celebrate small victories. Every bit of progress is worth acknowledging.
Beautifully said. Thank you so much, Jacob, for sharing your insights. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you, Sophia. It's been so much fun.
And to all our listeners, remember, language learning is a lifelong adventure. Keep practicing, stay motivated, and don't forget to enjoy the journey. We'll catch you in the next episode.